Hello student, let us say example 4.8. Again, it is related with the experiment of a U-shaped frame. Now in the figure, again we have a rod PQ of a rectangular conductor is moved from x is equal to 0 outward. So we have a different position. This is the origin. So initially the rod is kept at at x equal to 0. This distance is x is equal to b. Let us say this becomes a breadth of a rectangular frame PQRS, and this is the rod. When the rod come to x equal to 2b, we have to find out the different quantities. So rod is moved. In the question it is given that the rod PQ is moved from 0 to B and then B to 2B. The magnetic field is perpendicular to the plane. So the magnetic field lines are going into the plane or into the board, and it extends from 0 x equal to 0 to x is equal to B. So the entire frame is not inside the magnetic field. The magnetic field is from x equal to 0 to x equal to B only. So you have to find out the situation when the rod is moved from x equal to 0 to x is equal to 2b with a constant speed v. We have to obtain the expression for flux, induced EMF, force required to pull, power dissipated, as well we have to plot the variation with respect to distance. So the magnetic field exists up to x is equal to b only. This PQ is an intermediate position. So first be clear with the diagram. The rod PQ has to be moved from x is equal to 0 to x is equal to 2b. The magnetic field exists up to the distance b only. Field lines are going into the plane of paper. K, L and M are the region. L is a region up to B, and beyond L to M. M correspond to the distance to B, L correspond to the distance B, and K correspond to the distance origin or 0. We have to take a rod from 0 to 2B and then again from 2B to 0, and you have to plot the graph as well. You have to find out the expression. So clearly the magnetic field exists up to B only. Thereafter it is given in the question that a magnetic field is 0. So the magnetic flux linked with PQRS, so phi of B is equal to, now initially when this rod is at the origin, the distance is 0 or the flux is 0. But as we start moving, the magnetic field lines increases or the magnitude of magnetic field increases, as well as the distance also increases. Now this magnetic field exists up to B only. So the magnetic field flux formula will be B into A, that is equal to B L into X, where X is a variable which starts from 0 and it is less than B. So X we have taken as a variable. So x0, 1 meter, 2 meter, 3 meter, 4 meter, say 5 meter. This is 5 meter and this is 10 meter. So the flux increases till 5 meter in direct proportion, that is BA. at exactly B, this is less than B. At exactly B, the formula becomes B into the area, that will be L into B. Then the situation is B less than equal to X less than twice B. So this will be the situation. The magnetic field exists up to B only, and thereafter it is given that the magnetic field intensity becomes 0. So B is constant here. B is constant. So flux becomes constant. So starting from origin, if I move a rod, for example, let us take B to be a 5 meter. So this will be 10 meter. So the magnetic flux increase up to 5 meter. At point B, the flux becomes maximum, and thereafter there is no flux. So when I reach at point 2B, what will be the total flux? The total flux will be BLB for this much portion plus 0. So directly we have written BLB plus 0. BLB plus 0. So this is the total flux. That is, when this rod comes at this point, if the rod is exact at this point L, what will be the flux? BLB. Beyond that, 0. So by moving the rod, the magnetic field lines does not disappear. So if I move from 0 to 10 meter, there will be the flux up to 5 meter. Thereafter it is 0. So the flux remains constant for 5 meter. But below 5 meter, we are taking an example where B is assumed to be 5 meter. Below 5 meter, X is variable, so the magnetic flux will increase because the magnetic field is increasing. The length is constant. So this is an expression for the flux. First. Second, we have to apply the Faraday law. Now EMF induced is equal to minus d phi by dt upon dt. This is the flux, EMF induced. So in this case, this becomes E is equal to minus BL dx by dt. So this will be equal to minus LV, change in position with respect to time. Now this is the situation for again 0 less than equal to X less than B. Beyond that, 5 meter, or the derivative of this point, B constant, L constant, B constant, all three terms are constant. So EMF induced is 0 when the X is from B to 2B. So this is the EMF induced in the coil. So clearly the induction will take place only till the distance B. Thereafter, from B to 2B, the EMF induced is 0. Now, see how much force we require to pull it. Suppose we are first moving outward. Now we know that a force acting on the rod should be equal to at least IL cross B. Now this is actually the lens force, which is opposite to the direction of our applied force. But what should be the magnitude? So magnitude should be equal to IL cross B, that we did in the last lecture. And what will be the magnitude of the force? If I say what is the magnitude of the force, it should be Bill. So this is the magnitude of the force. That is, we discussed this in the last lecture. I. So I can be written as EMF induced divided by, let us assume R is a resistance. So L. Now we have to substitute the value of E, and if we consider only the magnitude, that is equal to BLX for less than B, and from B to 2B again the EMF induced is 0. So the force acting is also 0. So this is the magnitude of force. So F is equal to E, that is equal to BLV. So B square L square V upon R for 0 less than X less than B. And again F is equal to 0 for B less than equal to X less than 2B. No force is required because there is no EMF induced, there is no opposing force. So the force is 0 from B to 2B. So this is an expression we are writing by applying the formula. This is the magnitude of force, and we know the direction of this force is opposite to the direction of our motion. So if I am pulling this rod outward, I should apply at least this much force, but this force act in the opposite direction. So if I have to write a force to pull, there should be a negative sign because this is the lens force which opposes the motion. And beyond this point, you don't need any force because EMF is 0, so current is reduced to 0 in this situation also. So from B to 2B, the total EMF induced is 0, but the magnetic flux is constant. So the force also becomes 0 because your E is 0. Then the power dissipated. So power loss is equal to I square R. The power loss is I square R. So I can be written as E upon R, that is E square upon R square. So this R is cancelled. So this is equal to B square V square B square. So EMF induced is BLV. So B square V square L square upon R for 0 less than equal to this. Again it becomes 0 for B less than equal to X less than 2B. So this is the expression for the EMF induced flux force needed to pull. Again say that the magnetic flux linked with the coil or the frame is variable from 0 to 2B. Exact at 2B it becomes BLB. Then if I continue to keep a rod up to point M, or in this portion L to M, the total magnetic flux will be 0 to B, that will be BLB plus 0 from B to 2B, but plus 0 we are not writing. So the flux remain constant in this region. But because the flux is constant, the derivative of the constant will be 0. Now how much force I required to pull the rod? So it should be opposite to the lens force. So this is the lens force. The magnitude of the lens force. Our applied force should be opposite. Our applied force should be opposite. And the power dissipation, again because there is no EMF in this region, the power dissipation is 0. Now we have to plot the graph for all these physical quantities. So we have to plot 1, 2, 3 and 4 graph to understand this process. So let us see the graph for all this 4 quantity with respect to distance. So let us plot the 4 graph in a line. So first graph is flux versus distance. Flux versus distance. Now there are different regions from 0 to B, B to 2B. So we have this 4 region from K to L, L to M, M to L and again back L to K. So we put origin as a K, then let this line with a region up to L, that is point B. Then this line is a region for M, so L, M. Now this is your outward motion. This is your outward motion. So this arrow indicate outward. So you are moving from K to L, L to M. That is outward. This is outward. Then from M we come back to L and then K. So again from M, this indicate L, and again we come back to the origin, that is K. So this indicate, let me denote this arrow as inward. So see how the graph is plotted, K to L, then L to M. So this is outward, and then from M to L, L to K, it is inward. Now see the equation. So from 0 to B, that is from K to L, the flux is directly proportional to the x, means as a distance increases, the flux also increases in a direct proportion. So this is the graph, a straight line, that is the flux is maximum. At this point, at point B, the flux is maximum. Then L to M, so flux is KL flux plus 0. So that becomes BLB plus this portion 0. So BLB is a constant. So the flux becomes constant. So this is the flux which is maximum, and its value should be BLB. So 0 to X, this point is B. Then from B to 2B, the flux becomes constant. The flux becomes constant. So actually it is B to 2B, the flux is BLB plus 0. BLB plus 0. Then from M to L, again when you move from M to L, the flux remains constant. So the flux is still constant and it is positive. So when I move from 10 meter to 5 meter, the flux should be up to 5 meter plus 0. So that will remain constant total. And below 5 meter, so again this is point B, then again it should decrease linearly downward. So this is a graph 0 to B, that is direct proportion. At B, maximum. Beyond B, there is no field, but the flux exists up to 5 meter. So from 5 to 10 meter, the flux will be BLB plus 0. So constant. Again from 10 meter to 5 meter. So the flux is there for 5 meter. So this portion. And then beyond less than 5, again it decreases, and there we come to the origin. So all graph are with respect to distance. Now see the EMF. EMF is negative sign and it is constant because velocity is constant given. B is constant, L is constant. So for a constant and negative, the graph is this much. This is portion is minus BLV. Then from B to 2B, it is 0. So we don't draw any graph. Then M to L, again no magnetic field. EMF is 0 for this one. Then we are moving in the opposite direction. So when you were moving outward, it was minus sign. When you move inward, it should be positive sign. Same value. So this much value, the graph is constant. So this is again distance x, and this is a point B, 2B, B and 0. So this is how the EMF is induced. It is negative, 0, 0, inward. Then we come to the force. Now this force is the Lenz's force, which is opposite to our applied force. So if our force should be outward, it should be negative sign. So we draw the graph, because you have to draw a graph of force required to pull the rod. So it should be negative. Here we have written the force formula as positive. It is the Lenz's force, but its direction is opposite to the motion of rod. So if I pull a rod along the x-axis, this force is in negative x-axis. I have to plot a graph of applied force. So it should be negative. But this force is, again you see the expression, it is B square L square V upon R. R is a resistance here. B constant, L constant, speed constant. So the graph required to pull is again constant. This is the graph, this region, K to L. And its value become B square L square V upon R. Then 0, 0. Now you are moving inward. When you move inward, the Lenz's force is opposite to you. So now our force becomes positive. If while pulling out, if we have taken it negative, it is negative because the Lenz was positive. So initially our force was negative. Now when we move inward, Lenz's force will become negative. So our force applied should become positive. So this is the value. This is the region for in. Now about the power. The power is I square R. It is a positive quantity because it is I square R. So 0 to B, it is positive. Then becomes 0 from B to 2B. Then when we move inward, then also it will be a positive quantity. Power dissipation, it cannot be positive or negative. It is a heat loss or power loss. So it should be drawn direct proportion. Again, it is a constant term. So this is the graph of power. Becomes 0, 0. Again, it becomes positive. So this is a graph of F versus distance. This is the graph of EMF versus distance. And this is the graph of power. So this is the plot of all the physical quantities required when the rod is moved from 0 to B, B to 2B, then from 2B to B, B to 0. A complete cycle is given. The flux remains, first increases, remains constant, then it decreases. Other quantity need a sign, will leave a power, because it is I square R, power loss cannot be positive, negative, it is always positive. So we have a two direction involved, one with induced EMF and other with the force required to pull the rod. Topic 6.9, which is inductance. Now there are two portions related to the inductance. First we say, what happens, suppose I have one coil, say coil 1, and then another coil 2. I set up a current in coil 2. Let the current is I2. Let the current is I2. Suppose the current flowing is in a anti-clockwise direction. So this phase behave like a north pole, that we know. So its magnetic flux will be in this direction. So current is set up in one coil. So we are considering a system of two coil. We set up a current in any one coil. And if I change this current, the magnetic flux linked with coil 1, magnetic flux linked with coil 1 means the number of field lines passing through coil 1 will also change. So it is a common sense, because we know the flux is equal to, what is the flux? BA cos theta. Now what will be the magnetic field of this circular coil? So we know what will be the formula for the magnetic field at a distance x if I current is passed through it. So if I change this current in coil 2, the magnetic flux linked with the coil 1 also changes in direct proportion. So it has been found that flux linked with coil 1, that is say phi 1, is proportional to I2. So more is the current through this coil, more is the magnetic flux, more is the induction. So here, now if I bring this coil into the motion, that was a Faraday law. If I bring this coil near to coil 1, the magnetic flux increases. So current will be induced in it. So as a result, the current will induced in it, and according to Lenz's law, when the north is approaching, this phase should also be north, and therefore the current induced should flow in a anti-clockwise direction. This is your induced current. This induced current depend on the flux. The flux depend on I2. So an electric current is induced in a coil. An electric current is induced in a coil when the flux, this is the an electric current is induced in coil 1 when the flux produced is changed in another coil kept close to it. So an electric current is induced in coil 1 when the flux produced, who produced the flux? I2. When the flux produced is changed in the another coil. So if I change this flux, the current induced will also, the current will be induced in the coil. But it has been found that a flux, whatever flux is linked with coil 1, will be directly proportional to I2. It is a system of the two coil. But it is not necessary that always you have a system of two coil. In coil, if I have a single coil and if I pass a current through it, say I current, and if I change this current I, if I increase or decrease the current, there will be the change in its flux also. This flux is linked with the coil itself also. So you have two phenomena. Here current is set up in one coil. The flux is linked with another coil kept close to it. If I change the current in this, the flux linked with the coil 1 will also change. But here I have a current in the same coil. The flux changes in same coil, but Lenz's law does not allow the change. It opposes the change. So this change in the flux is linked with the coil itself. In that situation, it can be written as phi is proportional to I. More is the current, more is the flux. This change in flux will induce a current in it. So remember, this is your applied current and there will be one induced current in it. So I1 is called induced current. but the magnitude of this induced current depends on I2. Magnitude of induced current depends on I2, and I2 depends on the flux. So the flux is linked with coil 1. So you have to remember, if you pass a current from coil 2, current through coil 2, flux will be linked with coil 1. If I pass a current through coil 1, flux will be linked with coil 2. So you have to change the magnetic flux. And due to change in magnetic flux, we will have an induction. We will have induction. So in this cases, it has been found in both the cases. So in the coming day, we will call it a mutual inductance, and this will be referred as self-inductance. Mutual inductance and self-inductance. So we have two parts for this. One is called mutual inductance. It means you have a system of two coils, and one is self-inductance. Self-inductance means current is passed through the coil itself. This coil produces a flux. That flux is linked with the coil itself, and the current is induced in the coil itself. And the current will be induced in such a way that it will oppose the applied current. Here the thing is different. You set up a current in coil 2. Coil 2 produce the flux. That flux is linked with coil 1. Now if I change I2, the flux will increase. Suppose I increase I2, the flux will increase. So I will say the flux linked with the coil 1 increase. So the current induced in the coil 1 will also increase. So it is like this. We set up one thing in one coil and induction take place in another coil. That is a mutual inductance. Self-inductance means you increase or decrease the current in the coil itself. So the magnetic flux is linked with itself. And as the magnetic flux increases, let's say it should oppose. So induced current will be opposite to our applied current. So it is like this. When we understand, we will define a new component called inductor. Like we have a capacitor which was used to store electrical energy. Inductor will be used to store the energy in the magnet in the form of magnetic field. So it opposed the change. It initially opposed the change. It is similar to inertia. It is similar to the inertia. So it opposes the change, and this opposition, we know that when anything is opposed and external work is done, it will be stored in the form of energy. So here this is a system of two coils. Now in general we write the flux is directly proportional to I. So flux till date we know the flux is BAN if there are n turns cos theta. But how the magnetic field will be produced? If I say take an example of solenoid. So what will be the magnetic field of solenoid? Mu naught n I. So the B is directly proportional to I. And flux is proportional to B. So flux is directly proportional to I. But if you consider a system of two coils, the things are different. If I consider only a single coil, the thing is different. There are two types of inductance: mutual inductance, self-inductance. We will study this in detail in the next lecture. For the time being, an electric current is induced in the coil when flux produced is changed in another coil, so kept close to it. Or an electric current is induced, when magnetic flux produced is changed in itself. So again a current is induced when the magnetic flux produced is changed in itself. And this magnetic flux is directly proportional to I. The magnetic flux is directly proportional to I. Therefore, if we assume we don't change the geometry of the coil, then d phi by dt is proportional to di by dt also. So if we don't change the geometry of the coil, that is, we don't change its area, size or shape, then I can also write d phi by dt is directly proportional to di by dt. Now, if there are n turns, then n phi is directly proportional to I. So if there are n turns of the coil 1, then the flux linked with it, this is called the flux linked with coil 1 due to current in coil 2. So n phi is directly proportional to I, and in this case this n phi is generally called flux linkage. So n phi is proportional to I, or you can say the flux is proportional to I. Now if we remove the proportionality sign, then we have a constant of proportionality which we call as a inductance. So there is another term which is called inductance, similar to the capacitor. So from this I can write phi is equal to Li, that is equation 1, or I can write d phi by dt is equal to L di by dt. Here also I can write n phi is equal to Li. Here L is called inductance. Then we will have two terms, mutual inductance and the self-inductance. So here L is called inductance. So inductance can be defined as the ratio of the magnetic flux to the electric current, or the ratio of the flux linkage to the electric current. You have to remember that if there is a system of two coils, then induction will take place in coil number 1. So EMF is induced in coil 1 due to the current set up in coil 2. So this will be written as I2 and this will be written as phi 1. Otherwise, if we have a single coil, then there is no need to write phi 1, phi 2. It will be phi directly proportional to I, but an induced current will be produced opposite to the applied current. It always opposes the change. So we will see that self-inductance also. Now for general form, L is called inductance. Now it is, number 1, scalar quantity. It is a scalar quantity. It should be a scalar quantity because flux is scalar, I is also scalar. Second, it depends on geometry of coil and the material of coil, or you can say the medium in coil. So it depends on the geometry of the coil or the material of the coil or medium in the coil. Similar to capacitance, the capacitance also depend on area and the separation between the two plates and the dielectric constant. So it also depends on the geometry of the coil and the material within coil, that is medium of coil, similar to dielectric constant. Then SI unit. So clearly L can be written as flux upon current. So unit becomes Weber upon ampere, that is Weber per ampere, which is known as Henry, on the name of a scientist who gave this property of self-inductance denoted by capital H. So SI unit is Weber divided by the current, that is ampere, or it will be called as Henry. Dimensional formula, again it is left as an exercise. You find the dimensional formula of the magnetic flux and divide it by the dimensional formula of current, that is A1. So you will find out the dimensional formula of inductance. So this is all about, we have about inductance. In the coming lectures we will discuss in detail the mutual inductance and the self-inductance. Again, you have to remember this property comes into the picture when we change a flux, the flux linkage, because if there are n turns then we will have a term flux linking. So the flux, if the flux will change, EMF will be induced, that is the Faraday law. And the flux linkage is directly proportional to I. So we will try to change the flux by changing the current. Now we may have a system of two coil or we have a single coil. If we have a system of two coil, we set up a current in one coil, it will produce the flux. That flux is linked with coil 2, that will be called as a flux linkage. So this will be called as flux linkage of coil 1, and it will directly dependent on the current we set up. This is our current we have set up, and the current will be induced in it. That was our experiment, Faraday's experiment. So the flux linked with coil 1 is directly proportional to the current set up in coil 2. And if we have a single coil, if I change a current, the flux will increase or decrease. This change in flux is linked with the coil itself. As a result, the EMF will be induced in the coil itself in such a way that it opposes the change. So that property will be called as self-induction or self-inductance. And if there is a system of two coil, we call it mutual inductance. So we will continue this in the next lecture. Have a nice day.